Thank you for listening. If you want to know more about us and our services, please visit our website at www.wsk9co.com.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How's the weather up there?
Oh, horrible.
It's horrible here, too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
oh,
we're getting the storm of the century today.
Oh, yeah. I know we're at like, I don't even know, like over 3 feet of snow. I know There's people where they've had to pile snow that it's like 12 to 15 feet high.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And it's so funny because the puppy just loves it. Like there's like no place in the yard he won't go.
Oh, really? He's just all about it.
Yeah, he just thinks it's a blast, and he's found that back behind where you can run by the neighbor's fence, that's just as cool. So, yeah.
Fun. That's
exciting. He's a trooper. So
that's good. We're gonna get started.
Okay.
And I have Shannon here. The other two trainers are snowed in, so we're just gonna. It's the two of us and you.
Okay.
So I first want to talk a little bit about your first golden retriever, Charlie, and what you experienced from, what the difference was between you picking out a dog, which you had Callie, your poodle already, and then Charlie coming into the home for you didn't even see him or have much to do with him until he arrived to your house. So tell me a little bit about that experience.
It was wonderful, partly because you had him before I got him. So when I got him, he was super easy because you had already put him on that great track to being a wonderful dog. Little issues with Callie because she was at the end of her life, and being a small dog was not happy with having a puppy in the house.
Yep.
So it was a little bit different experience than what we're going through now, just because of the dynamics of the dogs.
Right. Right. So, and we're going to kind of move forward just because you have had probably, you're one of my only clients that I have had the opportunity really since we have known each other, to pick all of your dogs.
Yes.
And so then Charlie, I guess he was 10, 11-ish, 10, when Sydney, your daughter, decided that when she was down here that she had fallen in love with this golden retriever that I had been training for quite some time, and Sydney had gone on the lessons with me and been a part of that. And then she needed to rehome him. And Sydney had, she was really set that this was going to be her dog. And so she called up and talked to you guys, and you guys approved him coming home, which he was a little over a year coming home,
yes.
Right? So Charlie's 10, and then here comes this other golden retriever into your home. And tell me a little bit about that introduction into your home.
That one actually went really, really well. Kind of brought Charlie back to life a little. He was getting very lazy and sedentary and just didn't have that playful nature.
Yeah.
And Bear really brought some life back into him and brought a couple good years to Charlie's life. And it was amazing to see how young Charlie could be when he wanted to be.
Sure.
Very good relationship. Typical golden retriever. They needed to be touching when they slept, when they were laying around. There was always a body part touching.
Yeah.
And having a schnauzer in the home who doesn't like to be touched by anyone, it was good for Charlie.
Yeah.
So.
And what was that? How did you feel about bringing him in, as far as just transitioning him into your home? And Bear has really become your dog.
Yes.
and his energy level and the things that he likes to do is very similar to what you like to do. So tell me just a little bit more about that whole thing, just bringing an older puppy into your house, and the match and how you felt about him.
Yeah. feel very, very lucky because I don't feel like we brought in a dog that had any bad habits. He was a really good dog. So we were very blessed in that we didn't have to try to break bad habits. Just a real, very respectful of things and very respectful of the other dogs in the house, but very playful, and been perfect for me because about the time we got him was about the time I got diagnosed with leukemia.
Yep.
And he has been that breath of fresh air for me where on days where I didn't have good days, because I did chemo with him in the house, because of his energy level, it would force me to go outside and throw a ball for him. But it got me up and going, and he just has such a zest for life. He's just a happy-go-lucky dog. And so I feel very blessed that he came in and still has a very deep connection with Sydney. He cuddles Sydney like he doesn't he never will cuddle me the way he cuddles Sydney. But she just couldn't as a junior in high school, just couldn't be a mom like that. He really needed a mom, and she didn't understand that part of a dog. She didn't understand what it's like to be the mom. And I think so it all worked out perfectly.
Yeah, I think with Bear, because Sydney met him when he was, I think he was about 12 weeks old. And so she went through that summer with him training. And so I think she became his oh yeah, I know you. And we're friends. I think that's how he, sees Sydney, is that they're just these long lost friends that come together. And I don't think that with her going off to college, that friendship is still going to be there, because I think that's just what he knows of Sydney is sometimes you're in my life and sometimes you're not. And that friendship will be there. But Bear definitely needed a mom to be that part of his life. So
because she tried hard to do it, but just with her schedule, and then just with not having those mothering instincts, there was just something missing for him. And he kind of, I think, sought that out with me, and then I think she realized it and had graciously understood he needed to be a family pet, not her personal.
Yeah. And even when she comes home, it's still very much so a friendship where they go out, they do things together, but the caregiver is definitely coming from your side of things.
Yes. Yep.
So Charlie passed away this last year, not too long ago.
Yes.
And so it was time. I think that I always knew that you would always, it was just a matter of time when the next one would come. And so then we went on this journey of getting a puppy. And, as we talked, it was springtime, not a winter, for your birthday. And then you had to really do some convincing in the household with the men in your household, because they weren't completely convinced that they needed another dog in the house, and especially a puppy.
Correct. Yes.
So what was your process of going through and one, being ready for a puppy, two, we know that the men in the household really, they help, but it mostly falls on the women. It's just pretty typical, right? But somehow they feel responsible for it. So tell me a little bit about the convincing, because you and I were searching on the back end of things and joking around that here we go. But what was the really deciding factor when everything was really a go to start jumping on things?
Yeah. Well, with Tracy, he knows how much joy my dogs bring to me, and he loves our animals, but he's somebody who could probably live without them. Mm-hmm. Not the ones we have now, but he could probably, when they pass, he could probably go without an animal. He loves them, but they're not, for me, they're just part of my decompressing.
Yeah.
They are just a lifeline for me, and he knows my love of golden retrievers. So one of the big things with him was making sure that it became our dog, not my dog.
Sure.
So involving him in letting him pick, and once you and I had kind of found a litter that we were maybe interested in, he got to go and see them, kind of letting him take lead.
Yeah.
Because I tend to take lead
Yep.
when it comes to the animals. And so he, you know, I told him I was good with any dog. As I very particular, I love my golden retriever. So I
Yep.
said, as long as I can have a golden retriever, you can pick
Right.
the sex, you can pick the name.
Yep.
And so he really took that on himself, and that's made him. He's done a lot with Rogan, more than anything, any of the dogs. So that's been really good. And then as far as Riley, our son, he was still trying to deal with Charlie's death.
Yeah.
And that really was hard for him. And the first mention of a puppy, he didn't want anything to do with it. And then he softened, and now he's really, really good with Rogan, the puppy, and very consistent. But I can still feel a little bit of guard there.
Sure.
Still trying to protect himself from the hurt of losing Charlie.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that Charlie was the dog that they all grew up with.
yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's a hard first loss, really. I mean, they've lost other pets, but that one was their kind of their anchor too, and their lifeline, and so for sure there's walls, and he probably will never be as close, but as he's starting his journey in life and getting out of the house, it's probably a good thing for him too.
Yeah, but has been very good with the puppy. Amazing to me, the consistency of him with expectations of the puppy. And he's not demanding, but very loving, but also very, very consistent.
Yeah.
Other than when the puppy grabbed Charlie's collar, which is in Riley's room. And that was just a no-no. I mean, that was, and the puppy hasn't touched it since. And Riley was very direct with the puppy that this is not going to be chewed up or ruined or
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but, and it's been hard because with Sydney being away at college, she's missing those first few weeks, and we FaceTime a lot because she just can hardly wait.
Right.
But there's also a little bit of that. Well, Bear's still my favorite.
Yeah.
But very interested in the puppy. So.
Yeah, I think it's a fabulous journey that, you know, Rogan will ultimately be the dog that you and Tracy grow olds with, where kind of the things have shifted in life as we become empty nesters, and I'm not sure what that completely feels like. But so as bringing Rogan home, he was brand new.
Yes.
So he's the first one that didn't spend any time with me as far as just setting out those rules. So tell me how that whole experience has been, having the right dog in the home, but also kind of where your nerves were at and where we're at today.
Nerves would be just that we have such a calm household. I mean, we have one child left. He's 17. He's busy. Our dogs are pretty self-sufficient. They don't ruin anything. So bringing that puppy in where it just sets a whole new vibe.
Yeah.
And just that where we're a lot more alert to what's going on, because Charlie or Clover and Bear are just very self-sufficient. I mean, they don't do anything. And now we got this little guy that when he disappears, you better know where he disappeared to.
Right. Yeah.
Very thankful for Bear. Bear is honestly, when Rogan's awake, Bear is a great caretaker, probably 75% of the time.
Nice.
Because Rogan prefers Bear over me.
Sure.
If I have a toy or Bear has a toy, Rogan will always go to Bear to play.
Yeah.
But when Rogan's tired out, he chooses either any of us. You know, he'll go lay by Riley, he'll lay by Tracy, he'll lay by me, but he also still likes to cuddle Bear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really brought Bear back to life, because we kind of, Bear's always been our happy-go-lucky dog, and he started taking on more of Charlie's personality after we lost Charlie. That very loving, but very not playful.
Yeah.
And that was hard for us to watch, because that's not the Bear we know. And that Bear's back. He is, you know, he just plays all the time, plays more than he's probably ever played in his life, because this puppy just doesn't have a lot of fear.
Yeah.
That's been kind of new for us, because we got Bear when he was older, and Charlie was always a very cautious dog. And Rogan doesn't have a cautious bone in his body. So he keeps Bear on his toes. In fact, last week I came home and we'd had Rogan for maybe about 5 days. And when I walked in the door, Bear had that look on his face like a new mom, like, please take this. I need a break.
Yeah.
And so we gave Bear that break. We actually put Rogan in his kennel for a little while, and we played with Bear the way Bear likes to play.
Right.
And just had to give him a little bit of just decompression because this puppy's constant.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
What's been the hardest part of bringing Rogan into life there?
Probably just timing, with the weather. It's been horrible. But I give it to him. He mastered our stairs going up and down from our deck in just a couple days. He was going up and down. So that's been really good. But there's times where it's cold and it's really snowy, and he'll just go out and just go on the deck. Yeah. And we have kind of let that go when it's really bad. The rest of the time we help him down the deck if we're trying to stop that. And then probably timing as far as Riley's in basketball tournaments. So trying to make sure that we're giving him as much as he needs while still trying to make it to and from games. So sometimes he's in the kennel a little bit more than what I would like.
Sure.
But he does really well.
Good.
And then and being able to let myself go, it's okay. We're not hurting him because he's in a kennel an hour more this day than what we like.
Yep.
That he's always safe and he's always fed and he's always pottied. And so I just kind of have to let myself go. It's all right.
Right.
He's still in a good situation. It just isn't perfect.
Yep.
So.
Yep. What's been the easiest thing for you?
Having Bear's help, having a puppy, but having this dog that still has the energy for him that keeps him in line. And, we haven't had a lot of chewing on the wrong things because we've just put toys all over and those two play with toys. So we haven't really had to do a lot of correction. He's figuring out potty training really well because he just has somebody to follow.
Yeah.
So there's been so much that's just been really good. And he's a very good puppy. He responds well. He responds to whistling. He responds to his name. He's a good puppy.
Yeah.
So
that's great. Shannon, what questions do you have?
I'm interested about your perspective on bringing a puppy into your house as opposed to bringing in an older dog that has already been worked with before.
That's interesting because I haven't had a lot of puppies in my life. We've always had dogs, but we always had them very long term, and a lot of times we just had one. So I haven't had a lot of puppies, and there's nothing like a puppy. I mean, their cuddling, their breath, all that. It's just an experience that you just don't get a lot. And so I wanted that, but I appreciate what I got with Bear in that you get that energy, but you don't have all the work. Bear came in, he was just easily transitioned into the home. So, I think there's plus and minuses to both. I think this will probably be the last puppy we have. If we were to ever get another one, I think we would try to get a dog that needs to be rehomed. Just because there's nothing like a puppy, but it's a lot of work. Yeah. And I think that's something everyone should experience, but I also think that there's also a place. I feel really good about rehoming or taking Bear into our home because I feel like puppies are easily taken, and there's those dogs that need a home, and I'd like to do that again.
Yeah.
So,
what advice would you give all of our listeners out there as far as having dogs selected for you, and just what you have experienced? What advice would you give them?
I totally recommend it, especially when I got Charlie, because had I not had your help, Joe, I would have picked the first dog I could afford, because financially when I got Charlie, I knew I could afford him, but I was on a budget. And so I would have just picked the first golden retriever litter that was within my price range, and a puppy. Every puppy's cute. So I would have picked the first one that I fell in love with and not done the research or looked at the litters the way you did. You saved us from we had a very healthy dog with Charlie. And that I appreciate because you were picky in what the pedigree was and what the health history was on him. And there are Goldens with a lot of health problems, and we just didn't have that with Charlie.
Yeah.
And with Rogan, the financial part wasn't as big. But once again, you see a litter of puppies. It doesn't matter if they're a great litter or a bad litter. A puppy's cute.
Yep.
You're going to just latch on, and then you could be latching on to something that could be tough the rest of your life. And not just financially, but emotionally. Because if you get a dog that doesn't have great health and you lose it after a few years, That's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was hard to lose an old dog. And I can't imagine, like losing Bear right now at this age. That would be I think losing an older dog is easier in the fact that you start to see them failing, and it's so hard to watch them fail that there's that blessing part of it, where if you lose a young dog, it would just be devastating.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
to definitely support having help picking out a puppy, because everybody knows it'd be easy to grab any puppy you see and take it home and go, wow, this is a great dog, but not really understanding everything that you should about it.
Yeah.
Not understanding about litter sizes and about when is the right time to bring it in. And you've always guided us that. And I feel very, because the minute I started talking about a dog, I'm like, okay, Joe, help me. So
I remember Sydney said, oh, my mom's on this Facebook page that, there's rescues, or I can't remember what page it was. And Sydney said something like, no, Mom, you're not gonna do that. You're not taking these dogs in. And I know that you wouldn't have, but it was fun with Sydney spending time from the dog training world, knowing that there's not, it's not great dogs all the time out there, and they need to have the right home, and her kind of guiding as well, like, no, don't do that. We're, stop looking at those. So.
And we have a granddaughter that we have to think of. And that's the other thing, is I have to bring a dog into the home where you're not worried about, because we're going to be empty nesters, but we have a granddaughter, and Bear has just been wonderful with her. And not having young kids in our house, we weren't sure how he'd be, and he is. She's not real big into her dogs at her own home, but loves Bear. And actually, Bear's one of the words she says, because she just, and I think Rogan will do well with her because he won't know any different. And he's watching Bear with her. And I think he'll have that same relationship. So. Yep.
Yeah. It's been a fun journey with you, and just watching the dogs progress and mold into your life, and have the dogs that you needed at the time in your life for them, and what the dogs have done for our kids. And I just acknowledge you for that. You've done a great job.
I can't imagine my life without dogs. And we can hardly, with the cabin, we can hardly wait to get Rogan up there and let him, because that's Bear's place.
Yeah.
And he just loves the cabin. And I can't wait to see Bear have that same feeling. So.
Yep. For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Sara, I appreciate the time that you've given us, and we'll just kind of keep everything posted. I'll be up there probably in April, and we'll do some social media stuff with Rogan, just watching his journey.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Thank you,
Thanks,
Joe.
Sara. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. If you want to know more about us and our services, please visit our website at www.wsk9co.com. And as always, we urge you to get out and train.